I always thought love was enough. Turns out, trust is the real foundation, and I never saw the cracks forming beneath me. We met in college, not in some romantic movie way, but through a spilled coffee, a shared laugh, and the kind of eye contact that lingers long after you part ways. Her name was Leah, and to me, she was everything. Ambitious, intelligent, emotionally radiant, the kind of woman who walked into a room and made silence comfortable. I was quieter. More of a listener. I never thought someone like her would look at someone like me, but she did. I remember our first real conversation on the university rooftop. She asked me what I was afraid of. I said, losing something before I know its value. She smiled like she understood, and that's the moment I fell. We dated for 2 years. Moved in together after graduation. I had just landed my first job at a startup, while she pursued graphic design freelancing. Our schedules were different. I'd leave early, come home late. She'd sleep in, work odd hours, go out to meet clients or friends. I didn't mind. I trusted her, fully. Maybe that was my mistake. It started small. Missed texts. Strange excuses. New friends I hadn't heard of. A growing emotional distance I didn't want to admit. She was still sweet, still said, "I love you," every night, but I began to feel invisible. Like I was just part of her background. Then came the weekend trip. She said she was visiting an old friend who'd moved to another city. Just a girl's trip, she said. I didn't question it. But the moment she left, my stomach ached in a way I couldn't explain. I brushed it off. Told myself I was being paranoid. She came back distant. Cold. And I started questioning myself more than her. Was I working too much? Was I giving her enough attention? Did I make her feel alone? One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. I wasn't going to check it. I swear. But the name Eli Redheart caught my eye, and everything shifted. The message wasn't even explicit. It simply said, "I miss your laugh. Last weekend felt like a dream." I stared at it for minutes. Not angry. Not even hurt. Just empty. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I kept thinking, maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was just overthinking again. Maybe I hadn't been enough. The guilt washed over me like a tide I couldn't swim out of. I began reflecting on every small mistake I had made in our relationship. The nights I came home tired. The birthdays I forgot to plan right. The arguments I walked away from. Maybe she had drifted because I pushed her. Maybe. I drove her into his arms. And that's the twisted part of love. Sometimes the person who gets hurt is the one apologizing. But the truth was, that message was just the beginning. I didn't know it yet, but what I was about to uncover would not only shatter the illusion of our love, it would force me to ask the hardest question I've ever had to answer. If someone you love breaks you, do you fix yourself, or forgive them first? I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling in the dark, listening to the sound of the shower water still dripping, then her breathing as she climbed into bed beside me like nothing happened. I stayed still. She curled into me like she always did. And I let her. My heart wanted to believe I had imagined it all. But I hadn't. In the morning, I went through our photos, every picture where we were laughing, kissing, pretending to be the perfect couple. I kept asking myself, was this all fake? Or did it change along the way, and I just didn't see it? Leah made coffee, kissed my cheek, and asked me how I slept. I smiled. Fine. That word, fine, became my mask. I wore it all week. I started noticing things I'd ignored before. The way her phone was always face down. The quick exits when she took calls. How she hesitated before saying, "I love you," like the words were slipping away. We had dinner with her parents that Friday. They loved me like a son. Her mother even joked, "You're the calm to her chaos." I smiled again. But inside, I was sinking. That night, I asked her a question I hadn't dared to before. "Are you happy?" She looked at me, surprised. "Of course. Why would you ask that?" "No reason," I replied. "Just, wanted to hear it." She leaned in, touched my hand. "You're overthinking again, babe." "I'm just tired from work." I nodded. But I didn't believe her. A few days later, I decided to confide in someone. My best friend, Noah. He had seen us grow as a couple. He was there when we moved in together. He was the one who told me I'd hit the jackpot with Leah. When I told him about the message, he didn't react the way I expected. Instead of anger, he looked uneasy. "Noah," I asked, narrowing my eyes, "what is it?" He hesitated. Then finally said, "There's something I should have told you. A while ago, before you two got serious, I heard rumors." Leah had this pattern. She'd get close, then pull away. Not just emotionally, physically too. It's like she couldn't stay loyal once things felt real. My hands went cold. "You knew that, and you didn't tell me?" "I thought she'd changed," he said. "With you, she seemed different. Happy." I laughed bitterly. Happy people don't text someone else while they're in the shower. It was the first time I allowed myself to feel anger. Not at her. At me. For being blind. For thinking love was enough to fix someone else's broken pieces. The next few weeks were a blur of quiet suspicion and louder silence. I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't confront her. Every time I looked at her, I saw that message. Every "I love you" from her felt like a lie I was letting myself believe. And yet, a part of me still wanted to believe it. One night, I found an old notebook while cleaning our closet. It was Leah's. Pages filled with thoughts, sketches, fragments of letters she'd written but never sent. In one entry, dated months before, she wrote, "Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve him. He's too good, too steady. And I'm chaos. I miss the rush. I crave the unknown. But I don't want to lose him. I'm afraid I already have." I sat on the floor with that notebook, heart pounding. She wasn't evil. She was lost. Torn between comfort and thrill. Between safety and selfishness. But I was still the one bleeding. And deep down, I knew something had to give. I kept thinking maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'd misread everything, the text, the notebook, the silence. Maybe Leah was just distant because of stress, and I was projecting my insecurities onto her. But then came the night I stayed late at work. I got home around 10. Our apartment was dark. Her shoes were gone, her coat missing. No note. No text. I sat on the couch, scrolling through photos again. Then I opened her Instagram. She hadn't posted in days. But her friend Maya had. A picture, taken just an hour ago. Leah was in it, smiling, glass of wine in hand. They were at some rooftop bar. I didn't care about the place. What caught my eye was the man next to her. The same guy from the message. Same smirk. Same watch. His hand was casually resting behind her chair, almost on her shoulder. My heart dropped. I didn't want to believe what was now screaming at me. The next morning, I didn't ask her where she'd been. I watched her make coffee like nothing happened. I watched her braid her hair in the mirror, humming to herself. She looked peaceful. Like someone living two lives without guilt. But I wasn't at peace anymore. I called Maya that afternoon. She answered, cheerful. Hey. What's up? Maya, I said calmly, who was that guy you were with last night? There was a pause. Oh, you mean Darren? Yeah. Darren. She hesitated. He's just someone Leah used to know. From college. Why? She told me she was staying in last night. Silence again. Listen, she finally said. I probably shouldn't be involved, but, just talk to her, okay? That was all I needed. I hung up and sat still. My hands were trembling. Not with rage, just pain. That kind of quiet pain that doesn't shout, it just settles into your bones. That night, I confronted her. We were in the kitchen. She was chopping vegetables, music playing softly in the background. Leah, I said, who's Darren? She froze. Knife midair. Then slowly, she put it down. She didn't deny it. He's someone I used to date, she said. A long time ago. It didn't mean anything. You're seeing him again. It's not like that. Then what is it? She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, I didn't mean for this to happen. I laughed bitterly. You mean you didn't mean to get caught? No, she said, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to hurt you. But she had. We stood in silence. The air between us thick with every lie she didn't speak, and every truth I was too afraid to face. I loved you, Leah, I said. I trusted you. I know, she whispered. That's what makes this worse. Then came the worst part. I didn't cheat because of you, she said, I cheated because I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt trapped, like I was becoming someone else just to be perfect for you. That broke me more than the affair ever could. Because I'd spent months blaming myself, thinking maybe I wasn't attentive enough, maybe I didn't compliment her enough, maybe I should have seen this coming. But the truth was, she had already decided to leave. She just didn't have the courage to go. And now, I was the one left holding the pieces. I hadn't slept in 2 days. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, Maya, laughing with him, whispering the same soft words she once said to me. The letters I found in the blue box played like broken records in my head. Her handwriting confessing things I was never meant to know. Promises to Ryan. Apologies. Please. And the one that finally shattered me, sometimes I wonder if I chose the wrong life. He makes me feel alive, but you make me feel safe. And maybe I was too weak to live without either of you. I had been her safety net. Her backup plan. The man who offered stability while her heart danced elsewhere. And still, I couldn't walk away. Not yet. I needed the truth. All of it. The confrontation wasn't some dramatic shouting match. I was too tired for that. Too numb. It happened over breakfast. She handed me a plate of scrambled eggs, smiling like she hadn't ripped me to pieces. I stared at the food, then back at her. I found the letters, I said, barely a whisper. Maya froze. Her hand slowly lowered the glass she was holding, eyes locking with mine. Not denial. Not shock. Just silence. How long, Maya? I asked. Her lips parted. Then closed. Then parted again. Since before we got married, she said finally. But I ended it. I swear I did. I shook my head. You ended it, but you kept the letters. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't keep them because I missed him. I kept them because I hated who I was when I was with him. I needed to remember that. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. You told him you loved him, I said. More than once. I didn't mean it like that. Ryan was chaos. You were peace. I didn't know how to give up either. And that's when I broke. Because her words were true. I had been her peace. Her calm. But I never asked to be her compromise. That night, I packed a bag. Not because I was ready to leave, but because I didn't trust myself to stay. Maya didn't stop me. She just stood at the doorway, crying silently, as I walked past her with my duffel bag slung over my shoulder. Where will you go? She whispered. I don't know, I replied. But it can't be here. Not now. As I turned the key in the lock, I heard her say, I'm sorry I hurt you. But I don't know how to fix this. I didn't either. That's what scared me most. I was staying at a friend's spare room, Jake, my coworker and gym buddy, someone who didn't ask too many questions. He just handed me a beer and left me alone unless I wanted to talk. And for days, I didn't. But pain is a restless guest. It keeps you up at night, poking at your ribs, reminding you of everything you've lost. One of those nights, around 2 a.m., I got a message. From an unknown number. You have no idea what Maya's really hiding. But I do. Call me. There was a picture attached. Blurry, dark, but even in that poor lighting, I recognized Maya. And she wasn't alone. She was hugging a little boy. At first, I thought maybe she was comforting a friend's kid. Until I saw the timestamp. 3 years ago. Long before we had ever talked about kids. I stared at that photo for a long time, heart pounding. The number messaged again, ask her about Noah. She'll deny it at first. But she can't hide him forever. Noah. I didn't sleep that night. I called her the next morning. My voice was hollow. Maya. I need to talk. Her voice cracked slightly. Okay. We met at a small cafe downtown. She wore sunglasses even though it was cloudy. Her hands trembled as she sipped her coffee. I didn't waste time. Who's Noah? She froze. Dead still. I don't know what you're talking about, she said softly. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo. Her face drained of color. You weren't supposed to find that. Those words stung more than I expected. Because it meant there was something to find. Something she had been hiding from me for years. Is he yours? I asked. Her lips trembled. Yes. He's mine. I sat back, stunned. Did you have a child with Ryan? No, she said quickly. Not Ryan. Someone else. Before you and I were even serious. She rubbed her temples, clearly unraveling. I gave him up for adoption. Open adoption. I get updates, pictures, but I couldn't raise him. Not then. I wasn't stable. I didn't tell you because I thought it was my past. And I didn't want to lose you before I even had you. I didn't know how to feel. I was furious. I was heartbroken. I was lost. You let me talk about kids for years. You let me believe we'd be starting a first family. I was going to tell you someday, she said, tears running freely now. But the longer I waited, the harder it got. And then with everything else. I just thought, maybe I didn't deserve you. I laughed bitterly. So instead of being honest, you lied. Repeatedly. And now there's a child out there, your child, that I never even knew existed. Her hands were shaking. I visit him. Once a year. His adoptive parents are kind. They let me be around, like a family friend. But I'm not his mother. Not really. Silence sat heavy between us. The betrayal wasn't just about a kiss, or a letter, or another man. It was the years of lies. Of half-truths. The version of Maya I thought I knew, never existed. And yet, my heart still ached for her. For us. Because for all the pain, part of me still loved her. That was the cruelest twist of all. Maya stood to leave the cafe, her hands shaky and her face streaked with tears. I didn't follow her. I couldn't. I sat there, numb. The noise of the world around me felt like a distant hum. Coffee cups clinking. Laughter at a nearby table. It all felt wrong. She had a son. A secret life. And I had loved a woman I didn't truly know. When I finally got home that night, Jake was waiting for me, leaning on the counter like a therapist who didn't charge. You look like you just got run over by an emotional freight train, he muttered. I nodded. That's exactly what it feels like. He handed me a beer. Want to talk about it? I did. And I didn't. But the words came anyway, broken, jumbled pieces of betrayal, grief, anger, and confusion. She lied about a kid, man. A whole child. What else don't I know? Jake listened in silence, which was rare for him. When I finally ran out of steam, he looked me in the eye and said something that stuck. You can burn her to the ground for the lies, or try to understand why she built the walls in the first place. I didn't want to understand. But something in his words cracked the rage open and let pain flood in. The next morning, I did something reckless. I went to the park where Maya said she sometimes met Noah during his adoptive family's visits. And there they were. Maya, sitting on a bench. Noah, maybe 6 or 7, running around in the grass, laughing like the world had never hurt him. He didn't look like me. He didn't look like Maya either. But there was something familiar in his smile. A quiet strength. Maya saw me before I approached and stood slowly, cautious. "I didn't bring him here to manipulate you," she said. "I come here every few months. It's my way of staying close." "I'm not angry about him," I said softly. "Not anymore. I'm angry because you made me feel like the crazy one. Like I wasn't enough." Her eyes welled up. "You were enough. That was the problem. I didn't think I deserved you." I watched Noah twirl a paper airplane in the distance. "He knows you're his mom?" I asked. "No," she said quietly. "To him, I'm just Maya. A friend." That gutted me. Not because I felt betrayed, but because I realized how much pain she must have been carrying all these years. "How long have you been living with this?" I asked. "Since I was 19. I found out I was pregnant after my mom died. I didn't have a support system. The father left. I did what I thought was best. But I never stopped wondering who he'd become. I wanted to build a new life with you. But the guilt kept me frozen." I nodded slowly. It didn't erase the betrayal. But it made it make sense. I looked at her. "You said you wanted to start over with me once. Was that ever real?" "Every second of it." I swallowed hard. "Then we need to stop pretending we're perfect people. We're broken. Messy. But maybe, we can still figure this out." She covered her mouth, tears falling freely. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "I'm not offering forgiveness," I said. "I'm offering a choice. To be honest. From here on." She nodded. And we just stood there. Two people who had ruined each other and still somehow wanted to rebuild. As Noah laughed in the background, I wondered how much of life we miss because we're too scared to be seen fully. Maybe love isn't about flawless trust. Maybe it's about choosing to love, even when the truth hurts. We didn't fix everything overnight. In fact, some days, it felt like we were starting from scratch, with shaky trust and open wounds. But there was something freeing in the honesty now between us. For the first time in years, Maya and I weren't pretending. We talked. A lot. About Noah. About what went wrong between us. About what forgiveness actually looks like, not the kind that erases the past, but the kind that lets it breathe without suffocating the present. One rainy afternoon, we sat at the edge of her apartment balcony, knees touching, wrapped in a single blanket. I asked her what she truly wanted, not just from me, but from herself. "To stop punishing myself," she said quietly. I nodded. "And me?" She looked at me, her eyes softer than I'd seen in weeks. "To have the choice to love you. Not because I feel guilty, but because I still do." We both knew love wasn't a cure-all. But it was a start. Eventually, I met Noah, not as a father, but as a friend. A gentle introduction. A few shared moments. And even though he didn't know who I was, he made me laugh in a way I hadn't in months. And just like that, I realized something huge: I wasn't broken. I was becoming. Every piece of pain, betrayal, healing, it all shaped me into someone more whole, not less. Maya and I didn't rush back into being a couple. We started over as something much harder, real people, with real flaws, trying again. Slowly. Carefully. There were stumbles. Late night arguments. Days we didn't speak. But there were also small wins, like the time she showed me a sketch she'd drawn of Noah sleeping. Or the afternoon we cooked together without needing to talk, letting the silence say everything. I used to think being cheated on meant I wasn't good enough. But now, I see that pain has a way of making us blame ourselves for the choices others make. And sometimes, we carry that shame like it's ours to bear. It's not. We're all fighting battles people can't see. And love, real love, isn't about never hurting. It's about choosing to stay, even when healing feels impossible.